Francisco Quintana. I am a Mexican lawyer and I work at the Center for Justice and International Law, CEGIL. I started working at CEGIL 20 years ago in the office in Costa Rica, where we worked with cases from Central America and Mexico. And in the year 2004, I worked for the Inter-American Court of Human Rights until the year 2006 that I came to Washington, D.C. as the Deputy Program Director for our Washington offices that oversees the Andean, North American, and the Caribbean region. I work at the Center for Justice and International Law, CEGIL. CEGIL is a non-profit organization that represents victims before the Inter-American Commission and the Inter-American Court of Human Rights. We do our work on a pro bono basis, and one of our main principles is to have a center victim approach in the work that we do, meaning that we always work together with the families, the victims, and we ask them what their needs are and what the reparations are and what the requests before the international tribunals are. CEGIL was founded in 1991 with the idea to create and promote the use, to create standards of human rights through the use of the Inter-American system of human rights, particularly the Commission and the Court. So 30 years ago, CEGIL presented cases on grave violations of human rights during the dictatorship, cases that dealt with forced disappearances, torture. Then we started working with cases on children's rights, women's rights, freedom of expression, and we have developed our work with different topics. We use strategic litigation as our main tool in order to bring some change to the situation of human rights in the Americas. And we choose emblematic cases that have the potential of making structural changes and bring a redress to the victims of human rights that appear in those cases. CEGIL has worked in many different topics, and one of the topics that we have focused in the last couple of years is gender-based violence. One of the leading cases that we started working with was the Maria da Penha case in Brazil. Through this case, CEGIL was able to denounce the situation that happened to Maria da Penha with her couple, and we also achieved through the conclusion of the case, the creation of a legislation in Brazil that deals with gender violence. The legislation was called Maria da Penha. After working with the case in Brazil, we met Linda Loaiza. Linda Loaiza, back in the year 2000, she was 18 years old and was kidnapped by an individual who had her in a hotel room for more than 100 days, where she was beaten, sexually abused, and almost killed. When Linda Loaiza met CEGIL, we helped her to bring her case to the Inter-American system of human rights, and later this case, after it passed through the Inter-American Commission, made it to the Inter-American Court of Human Rights, where in the year 2018, the court issued a very important judgment that addressed for the very first time the problem of violence against women in Venezuela, but also because of the characteristics of the case, it addressed the issue of sexual slavery because of the situation that Linda Loaiza was going through. The Inter-American Court had the opportunity also to study what the response was by Venezuela through its investigative bodies, through its judicial bodies, and it concluded that Venezuela had not investigated the case of Linda Loaiza in a proper way. The court identified that there were some prejudices against women by the officials that were in charge of the investigation, by the judges, and also the legal framework that Venezuela had at that moment didn't allow Linda Loaiza to be protected. So in its final judgment, the Inter-American Court ordered Venezuela to make the necessary changes in order to address gender violence properly by educating its authorities, by creating or improving the tribunals that are in charge of investigating violence against women. The most important achievement of the Inter-American system of human rights has been to grant redress to thousands of victims of gross violations in the Americas. The Inter-American Commission and Inter-American Court have the opportunity to develop a very wide set of jurisprudence, and they have established very important forms of reparation in terms of symbolic reparations that address the search for justice, truth, and these reparations have been mirrored by other systems as the European system of human rights and the African system of human rights. The Inter-American system is also known for its work on protecting people in the continent through the use of precautionary measures by the Commission or provisional measures by the Inter-American Court. This is also a huge contribution of the Inter-American system that has developed a very good jurisprudence on these protective measures. Point of concern for us is the situation of human rights defenders in the world, but most specifically human rights defenders in the Americas. In the last discussions at the Human Rights Council and the last reports from the Special Rapporteur of Human Rights Defenders, it was known to the public that the Americas is the highest it has the highest record of human rights defenders killed in the last couple of years. So this is of great concern for us, and I think this is an issue that has to be dealt seriously by governments in the Americas, as Colombia, Mexico, and Brazil, who have the highest rates of social leaders, journalists, human rights defenders, or environmental defenders in the region. If you want to get involved in the protection of human rights, my advice would be to get the opportunity, if possible, to get close to the people that you represent. If you have the opportunity to visit the countries where you would like to work, it could be a matter of economic situation, but also with technology, I think that you can get close to the people that you represent so that you understand what their situation is and never impose your opinion before the opinion of the victims. That's what we call our victim-centered approach, where you always have to be you always have to remind that you are working for the protection of the victims, that you are representing them, and that you are trying to find solutions that only they would know what those solutions will be. Then, according to your experience, your knowledge, and your legal background, you can shape those demands into a better language for the international bodies.